Okay. So it says it will take 8 hours to complete a certain print job. The company can do the job for $80. The supervisor of the company, who is paid $15 per hour, will start the job. The assistant, who is paid $7 per hour, will take over and complete the job. When the supervisor leaves, how long will it take each person to work? So we have a supervisor and an assistant. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I don't like to use the letter S because the S looks like a 5 for some people. So I'm going to use X for supervisor. Because we need to pick 2 letters of the alphabet. There's 26 letters, you just need to pick 2. You can pick whichever 2 you want to pick, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to use the letter A for the assistant. That's what I'm doing. Okay. So the first thing is, how long did it take them to complete the job? How many hours did it take them to complete the job? 8. So my first equation is X plus A equals 8. And then your second equation, you're going to use all of the numbers with a $sign in front. So we have the $80. This is going to be circle 80, circle 15, and circle 7. Because we're going to use these 3 for the second equation. So the supervisor, how much does the supervisor make? 15. So we got 15x plus his assistant, 7. So 7a. And that's going to equal 80. So we need to solve this equation. We can do elimination or we could do substitution. So I am going to do, and then we also have calculators in the front if you need a calculator, since you cannot have your phone out. So we're going to solve this using elimination. So I just rewrite them. So we need to figure out what we want to eliminate. So if we want to eliminate x, if I want to eliminate x, I need to multiply this equation by negative 15 because the opposite of 15 is negative 15. Or I can eliminate a by multiplying by the opposite of 7, which is negative 7. You get the same answer. It does not matter which way we go. I am going to eliminate a. So take a second, multiply this equation by negative 7. So I want you to take this entire equation and multiply it by negative 7. Again, calculators are in the front if you need a calculator. When you multiply it by negative 7, that top equation changes to negative 7x minus 7a equals negative 56. So this is my new top equation. Then I just rewrote the second equation right below it. So let's add these two equations together. So negative 7 plus 15 is 8. Negative 56, and this cancels, which is what I wanted, because negative 7 plus 7 is 0. Now in your calculator, put negative 56 plus 80. 24. So 8x equals 24. So now to solve it, you're going to divide both sides by 8. So take 24 divided by 8, and you should get 3. So what that tells me is that the supervisor, x, because remember, x is the supervisor, x equals 3. So I'm going to write that above here, x equals 3. So what that tells me is that the supervisor, he worked 3 hours. Okay, that's what that tells me. So now we need to figure out, well, how many hours did his assistant work? And we can use either equation 1 or equation 2. But I think the easiest one to work with is equation 1. So if I know that x plus a equals 8 and x is 3, I need to solve this equation for a. So what do you think a has to be? What number? 3 plus what number is equal to 8? 5. So a equals 5. So I'm going to write that over here too. So his assistant, A, he worked 3 hours. So assistant.
So basically you have to do that.
Right. Wait, how many hours did you say? 5 hours. So basically what did you say?
You don't have to do that in a second.
Right, yeah. So you use either equation. So if you know that, once you know one is 3, then the other one is just going to be 8 minus that number. And that is that. All right, go ahead, read number 3. Try to write your equations for question 3. So Angela and Jasmine are paying off their credit card debt. Angela is starting out with $120 and plans to pay $1 every day. So Y, we're going to use Y to represent the amount owed. That's going to be the amount owed. And X is going to be your days. So we're going to write an equation for Angela. So we'll let equation 1 represent Angela. So it says that Angela started off with 120, and she's going to pay $1 a day. So Y equals 120, and she's paying it off, so she's subtracting $1 a day. So Y equals 120 minus 1x. Then my second equation is going to be for Jasmine. Jasmine, she started off with 150 and plans to pay $2 a day. So that equation would be y equals 150 minus 2x. The easiest way to solve this equation is to do substitution. So for substitution, I'm going to set them equal to each other. I'm going to take this and substitute it in for y. So my equation becomes 120 minus 1x equals 150 minus 2x. So when I solve this for x, we're going to add the 2x to both sides. And that gives me 120 equals, so we got 120 plus x equals 150. So what do you think I have to do to solve this for x? Subtract 120, yep. So let's go ahead and subtract 120 from both sides. So x equals 30. So what we just figured out is that it's going to take 30 days, because it says, at what day will Jasmine and Angela be in the same amount of debt? So in 30 days, it's going to take 30 days. And after 30 days, we're on question 3. After 30 days, the amount of money owed is going to be the same for Jasmine and Angela. So in your Agile Mind book, oh wait. Go to page 24. So let's go to page 24 in your Agile Mind book. And let's go ahead and graph this out. So page 24. So the first thing we're going to do is graph this first equation, y equals 3x minus 5. So let's go ahead and graph this. Your slope is 3. Your y-intercept is negative 5. So go ahead and graph that equation. When you're graphing, you started at negative 5. And then your slope is 3, so you're going to go up 3 to the right 1, up 3 to the right 1. And I'm going to put a lot of points only because I'm graphing on an iPad and I can't put a ruler down. So after you graph, I'm going to graph this first one in red. So this is the one I'm graphing right now. Go ahead and graph that. If you have your ID, you can use that as a straight edge. Go ahead and graph, make a straight line. So let's see these graphs. I need to see this graph on your paper. So I just graphed y equals 3x minus 5. All right, good. Looks good. All right, so now let's graph our second one. So my second one is 4x minus 2y equals 6. So in order to graph this, I need to subtract 4x from both sides. Go ahead, subtract that 4x. And then we need to divide everything by -2. So let's divide it by -2 because we have to solve it for y in order to put it in slope-intercept form. So we have y equals positive 2x minus 3. So my slope is 2/1, and my y-intercept is -3. So let's go ahead and graph that one. So I'm going to start at -3, up to the right one. Okay. And the solution is where they cross. And it looks to me like they cross right here. I'm going to put a purple dot. So the solution is 2, 1. That's my solution. And what is occurring on the graph to make this a solution? This is where they intersect. That's how we know that that's the solution. Another word for intersect is just cross. So, and we're only going to look at these last 3 examples on the same page. Now, one is a parabola and one is a line. But the solution is the same. How do you figure out where it is? It's where they cross. It's where they intersect. So that's still what we're going to do. So it won't take long, 5 more minutes, and I'm done. So let's look at the parabola. So looking at this example, this is the first example. Notice how many times does that line go through the parabola? Show me with your fingers. 2 times. Good. So because it intersects in 2 places, that means we have 2 solutions. Now, I know it didn't ask us to, well, we really can't identify it, but can you put a point on the graph where your solutions would be? So this would be a solution, and so would this be. These are your 2 solutions. Now, those 2 solutions are kind of hard to name because they're not like on the grid. So we can't really figure out exactly where it is, but that would be your 2 solutions. So we have a parabola and a line. It has 2 solutions. What about the second one? How many solutions do you think this has? Show me with your fingers. 1, right? It only has 1 solution because in this example, it only crosses through it once. So notice that the function intersects in 1 place. So that means the system has 1 solution, and this should not be plural. It should just be point and solution. And that point would be here. So in this one, we can kind of identify what it is because it looks like it's actually on a grid. So the solution would be 4, -5. So that is the 1 solution. And for our last one here, how many times do they intersect? They don't, right? So notice that the functions do not intersect. They do not intersect. They do not cross each other. So what that means is that there is no solution. So when we're talking about a parabola in a line, we can have two solutions, we can have one solution, or we can have no solution. Okay, so I have noticed that the amount of people doing their homework is extremely low. I have started to put those grades in to Skyward. You definitely want to make sure you're doing your homework because your first test, the first test is on paper, it's in class, it's not on Canvas, and it covers what's on the homework. So after today's class, you are able to start homework 5. That's not due until Tuesday. So if you haven't submitted any assignments, you are 5 homeworks behind at this point. And you need to start getting those submitted ASAP. Because eventually, not turning it in, those are going to change to a 0. And a 0, that's not good. Thank you so much for being respectful of my no phone out policy. I just really appreciate it.